Good evening, Norcal Carters. And it is Monday, January 11th. And tonight we have Andy Seesemann back with us. And I love having Andy on because actually, Andy, you should actually just be a co-host on a regular basis.
Maybe.
I mean, because we go from 15 to 20 minutes to 2 hours, and it's always actually just a fun chat.
For sure. I appreciate that.
No, it's you carry the show. You carry the show. So
when the host is weak, we do what we can.
Yeah, that's right. So let's get into our calendar. So the calendar can be found at norcalcarters.com. And we're in the winter, so there's not a bunch of stuff happening. Tracks are starting to send me their calendars. Actually, Andy, you were the first one to actually send me a completed schedule. We had you, on a couple months ago. And you have an event coming up next week.
I do. That's correct.
So Challenge of the Americas in Phoenix. That's going to take place on January 22nd through the 24th. Then you also have your round 2 in Fontana on February 26th through the 28th. And then March 26th through the 28th, you round out the Challenge of the Americas at Sonoma.
Yeah, buddy.
So that should be good. Some other local action we have here in Northern California. Donald Durbin over at Prairie City. They're actually doing an endurance race with the rental carts on the 23rd, which happens to be your weekend down south. But yeah, they're doing. I don't have all the details on it, but I know they're doing an endurance race on the 23rd with the rental carts. So that should be good for the local guys. And I know the teams are filled, but if you go to pckarting.com, that's Donald's website. Let's see.
Oh, for sure. I mean, let me interject a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
Those of us in the promotions business, right, get so pissy at people for scheduling quote unquote on top of our weekend. And let's be fair, right? The endurance crowd at Prairie City is not a Challenge of the Americas customer. We do not cross paths at all. Maybe there's one guy at 30. I don't know, but we have to keep these tracks in business. We have to keep these tracks being able to make Monday through Friday or Sunday to Sunday or whatever it is. So for these tracks to make these events, we have to support them. We have to get out there and do our best because otherwise we're going to lose these playgrounds. These are just playgrounds for all of us. I mean, can you imagine? I'm going to take a left turn. You know me. We're going to take 17 left and right turns tonight, right? So,
right.
So people, every once a year, twice a year, people come to me. Oh man, Andy, let's find a way to build a track and do this and blah blah. Okay, great. By the way, we live in California, so a track's a $10 million investment. What? Well, $5 million for the asphalt. It's $5 million for the land. Okay, it's $1 million for the asphalt because asphalt is $1 million a mile if you're going to build it right. So, and that's been told to me by people that built Miller Motorsports Track, NOLA, all the big circuits we know, right? Asphalt is $1 million a mile. So by the time you put in a track, the ingress, the egress, yada yada yada, it's $1 million. So now we're at 6. Now you build some buildings. Now you build some fences. You do all the grading. You do all the other stuff. Okay, so it's a $10 million investment. And then everybody expects those people to get their investment back $50 at a time on practice day.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Oh, sorry. I'm paraphrasing our next president. Come on, man.
Come on.
But I mean, there is very, very little crossover between the Durbin's endurance event and what we do. So man, put that event on. Yeah, put an event on Cal Speed. Put an event on somewhere else, right? We got to get these events going. We got to keep these tracks going. So please, if you're not running my event or Tom's event or KPX or whatever, go find something to support because if we don't, they're going to go under. It's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it's, unless the promoters start building their own tracks, Andy, we need to keep them around.
Well, I mean, now that you're the big, amazing podcast multimillionaire. So if you could just invest 4 of the 5 million, I think we're pretty good.
I need to do 3 more karting podcast shows to get to that $10 million nugget, though.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'll be waiting.
Perfect. Don't hold your breath.
No, trust me, I can hold it for about 23 seconds. I'm a big old fat guy, but that's okay. So go ahead. What else is going on the calendar? So that's me and Donald coming up in that.
Yeah.
See how I'm carrying the show and making sure we go the right direction here.
That's right. One of our other NorCal Karters sponsors is NCK Road Racing, nckroadracing.com. They have a schedule out. It's not on my calendar yet because I just got the dates about an hour ago. But March 8th is Thunder Hill 3 Mile. April 10th through the 11th, they are going to Speed Vegas. That is confirmed. So NCK will be at the Speed Vegas track April 10th through the 11th.
Yep.
Oh, you went last year, didn't you?
So I did. So I'm on Mark Morrison's email list, and I saw that. And so it's like, okay, well, once again, road racing is another, subset of our karting community, right? You have the quote unquote national racers and the quote unquote regional racers, and in the end, we're all just racers. But I'm just putting them in categories because that's how we all divide them, right? Then you have the club racers, and you have 4-stroke racers and 2-stroke racers, and then you have road racers, right? Which, man, was such a huge part of our sport in the 60s and 70s, and even in the 80s, and then it just started to shrink in the 90s. And I've done a few. I've raced on Streets of Willow and Big Willow, and I've come close to winning a couple races at the big track at Fontana with SCK. And then, yes, I did NCK's race. They did I won't call it an exhibition because it was more of an introduction. So it was a race, but they did it at Speed Vegas, which is the track for all you old sprint racers just north of Xplex in Vegas on the same side. So there's Xplex, there's a cement plant, and then there's Speed Vegas. And Speed Vegas is where people can go, spend $500 to rent a Lamborghini and drive 6 laps at 140 miles an hour. Or you can spend, a couple $100 with Mark and do a road race there. It's a fun little track. It's not a full road race track. It's not 3 Mile Thunder Hill. It's not 2.5 Mile Willow. It's like 1.5, 1.7, I think, right? It's a big long straightaway and a bunch of squigglies coming back, but it's fun. It was fun to watch those guys. I jumped in. I hadn't been in a kart in a couple years. I broke all tradition. I broke all the rules. I jumped in just to say that I drove on that track. I was uncomfortable. I'll be honest. I don't have an ego about my own racing to be shy about saying I was just uncomfortable because I had not been in a kart in so long. But I do have a big ego enough to say I drove from, 16th to 2nd in about 5 laps. And that's where we ended up in the first race. Paul Bonilla drove away from the field. Paul Bonilla, national level masters of any kind of driver. And there was, 20 guys in the class. And after that, I just said, I parked it for the rest of the day because I was never going to be Paul. I'm 40 pounds overweight for the class, and I've been out of the seat for 4 or 5 years. So I accomplished what I was going to accomplish. I was second to Paul. I parked it after that and helped my customers who were there and had a great time. So, props to Mark Morrison for stepping outside the box. I mean, obviously these tracks are getting harder and harder for them to rent. I mean, the hard part, what people don't realize, and, it's customers just don't think about it, is guys like Mark Morrison put on these events and they want to rent a track. Well, they rent a track like Thunder Hill or Button Willow or whatever. Well, how many Porsche or Viper or, motorcycle or whatever clubs are out there? that have these super high dollar guys that can literally spend freaking 25 grand to rent the track for a day. Go-kart clubs can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Mark's probably got a budget of, 5, 6, 7 grand for the day, which is absolutely stretching it if he cuts every corner. So what are these tracks going to do? They're going to rent to a go-kart club for 5 grand a day, or the Porsche GT3 club for 25. They're going to take the money.
Yeah.
So once again, goes back to what I just said 10 minutes ago. Man, if you're a road racer, or if you want to try road racing, please just go jump in. If it's close, or if you want to take a fun road trip, go do a bucket list deal and go try some of these tracks. It's fun. Mark and his crew do a great job. They try so hard, and I don't want to say a dying breed because we're all getting older, but he's doing the best he can and putting these events on, and man, just go try it. Just to check it off, check the box off, and just go have a good time.
Yeah, a few years ago was the first time I actually personally did any road racing stuff, and I really enjoyed it. Outside of getting over the sense of speed and how fast you're going and the wind buffering on your helmet, and then hearing my brake rotors spin at 105 miles an hour, that was a little unnerving.
That's fun, right? That's fun, right?
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, and then the other thing, it's probably a great contrast for what you're doing versus just that average karting guy that doesn't have a mechanic, doesn't put all that extra time into it. The road racing is kind of a nice fit. You don't need to be in the best shape of your life. It's not a go schedule. I mean,
no, for sure. You got time to relax.
Yeah.
Just make sure a couple things. Make sure all your nuts and bolts are tight and safety wired and everything else, because the last thing you want is a wheel coming off at 95 going the straightaway.
And honestly, that was one of my hesitations years ago about the road races. I walked around the pits when I worked for Swede Tech, and I'm looking at these carts. It's like, I can't believe these guys are going to drive these things on the track.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? You say that you see a bunch of some 1980s, 1990s stuff there, but holy cow, every nylon lock nut is brand new. Every safety wire is brand new, right? So it's exactly the opposite of where sprint racers cut their costs, right? Sprint racers will buy a brand new $5,000 chassis because it's wore out from 3 weekends ago, but then put the same nylon nuts on it that they've been running all year. It's the oddest thing, right? Road racers are exactly the opposite because they know the nylon nuts are what's saving their lives.
That and you can tell where the who knows how to use safety wire pliers.
Oh hell yeah, buddy, hell yeah!
But yeah, over the past couple of years,
a lot of old aircraft engineers still running road races.
That's right. Yeah, so I mean, over the past couple of years, walking around the pits and looking at the equipment, it's like, now I'm more comfortable being out there with these guys.
And there's no greater, from a Norcal guy, there's no greater concentration of Emick Top Gun chassis than at a road race.
That is, yeah. There was another chassis that popped up. I want to say it was called an ITEL system or something.
Okay. But the Emick Top Gun, man, that one was that was the shit on the road race courses. Yeah, because it ran good narrow. It ran good narrow. It was a sit-up sprinter. It was a sit-up sprinter before people took, actual European sit-up sprinters to the track. But it was a sit-up sprinter that was designed to run narrow. So that thing ran at 50 or 48 inches with a laid-back seat. Man, that thing hauled ass in a straight line. It was awesome.
It sounds like you have some memories with that thing.
I've never driven one, but I've gotten beat by a few, so it's fun to watch.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch.
There you go. Yeah, so that's back to the NCK stuff. NCK road racing. Where do we leave off, Andy? We had March 8th, Thunder Hill 3 Mile.
March 8th, April 10th, and 11th, I believe you said.
Yep, Speed Vegas. June
which 7th. is 2 weekends after my finale. So you leave my finale in Sonoma, you have Easter, and then you go down to Speed Vegas.
Oh,
and the South Point or the M or whatever is super close. You go down there. Like I said, we had a fun time. We had a very fun time.
Yeah, the M. I have to get the official hotel name, but that is the host hotel. The one with the M in it. The M.
That's a nice place. It's a nice place.
Okay. Let's see. Then June 7th, NCK, they go back to Thunder Hill for the 3-mile track, or they call it Thunder Hill East. And then October 12th, they wrap up their calendar as of now. Thunder Hill 2-mile, which is Thunder Hill West, and I love that track.
I've never been to Thunder Hill, but I've heard from the road races to say the West track is a great fun track.
You can conceivably have an event there for your challenge stuff. The downside is they disappear for a minute and a half behind the hill.
Right. So have you ever been to Streets of Willow in Willow Springs?
So I've been to Streets of Willows only when I was at the kart track. I actually never worked or drove the Streets facility.
Okay, so the Streets is I would imagine from how they describe Thunder Hill West, is that right, West? Streets of Willow is similar, right? Streets of Willow is a 1.8-mile track. It's, they kind of bypassed the one hairpin because it got super, super bumpy. So I think it took a little bit of the technicality out of it. For a long time it was like a sprint track on steroids, right? But man, I had some way fun races there, and the last race I ever co-promoted with my now sworn enemy from SCUSA, we actually co-promoted a race there, like in 10 or 11, I think.
Okay.
We did a race together, and we had a very good time. Like we mixed his classes and my classes. We had a great time. It was a very, very fun event. But yeah, I mean the shifters were hitting, I think, like 110 coming down the straightaway, and a tag car was doing 95. But it was fun. What people don't realize about road racing is, like you said, the sensation of speed is actually kind of dumbed down. Like you're going 90, but everything is moving slow. It's the world's slowest kind of chess game. Like the passes on a sprint track are made instantaneously, right? You're on the guy's bumper, all of a sudden you drive to the apex and bam, stomp on the brakes and pass him. Here you're like thinking about a pass for 15 seconds and then kind of get it done, but you're literally going 90 miles an hour. It's a weirdest sensation, but it's very unique, and it's a fun thing if you can kind of slow your brain down and make it all work.
Yeah, slow hands and slow your brain down. And
slow hands. It's super slow hands. Right, I mean, you remember that, I did some coaching from now and time and time again. I mean, or half for the last 25 years or whatever. But I mean, two simple rules about your hands, right? Your hands got to be, relatively fast in the slow corners and then slow in the fast corners, right? Because when you're coming up to a hairpin, you want them to turn and unwind fast. But if you're in a long corner, you want them to move as slow as possible and kind of hold that line, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great exercise to do with new drivers. I sit in their cart and I have them push me around the pits, and I just crank on the wheel, and I tell them, "You're the engine. Is this fun for you?"
Yeah, is it fun? Yeah, is this fun? Is this not fun?
Yeah, so the NCK, October 12th, they wrap up. Now, they are working on other events, but those are the 4 that they have solidified for 2021. And then, let's see, that's kind of where we have your CRC calendar on there as well, Norcal Karters. And then you're going to Pat's Acres in July. I'm super stoked about that one.
Well, let's talk about it. Well, we can talk about that, but let's talk about a little bit of NorCal stuff. So, is any of the Prairie City stuff done yet?
Yes and no. They have dates out. I actually had a podcast with Donald a couple of days ago where he quickly ran through the dates. I'm just waiting
I missed it. I'll get on and check it out.
Yeah, I don't even have them on the calendar yet. I'm waiting for them in writing.
Right, I get it. It's hard, right? They're on government land and they're kind of at the whim of.
they're on
let's not have a
government
political
land.
talk about Newsom, but yeah, they are on government
Yes,
land.
they are on government land. They decided to split up their racing, so they're doing a Briggs. And if I get this wrong, I'll correct it down the road. But they're doing a Briggs weekend with 80 shifters, and then they're
Okay.
doing a two-stroke weekend with the 125 shifters because they have to stay under 100 for the head count.
Oh, I got you. All right, so here's going to be my plea again. Please, 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 people, think about how hard it is for track owners, etc., to be able to make the books right after every event, and now you're cutting their revenue in half, but keeping their costs the same. So for Donald and the Durbin family, it does not change their costs to put an event on, whether it's 50, 20, or 750 people there, right? It does not change their costs. Their costs are the costs. But now the state is kind of mandating, for whatever rules, all right? I don't know what the exact rule is, but you know what I'm saying, that they have to have half the people there. So now they're spending the same amount of money and making half the money. So they may not even be breaking even at these events. So please, people, if you're going to want to support these, go support it. If you have these cards, go support it. Please, please, please.
Yeah, and their first official race is coming up in February. And again,
Okay.
once I get them in writing, I'll get those on the calendar. Keeping it also in Northern California. Something we did new towards the end of last year is we started selling sponsorship space on our calendar to local teams. And
Okay, cool.
So the very first team that actually signed up for it was Gary Carlton, and he's going down to your event next week. So gfckarting.com, he will be attending your challenge event. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Gary's information on the calendar with the links and all that fun stuff.
Well, as you know, Gary's a hustler. You had a podcast with him. I mean, he's on his way to he's hustling right now to get everything packed up and ready to go for my event. Yep. Because he has to go. He's going to Florida for the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour this weekend.
Yes.
So I think he flies up. I think he flies up tomorrow. I don't know his exact schedule. I think he flew the material out there, and he's pitting with another team. But yeah, so he has to have all his stuff. I think he has 12 or 14 people coming to my race. I'm not sure. So yeah, he's got all his stuff. He's got to get it all ready. So he can fly to Florida tomorrow or the next day, get out of there Sunday night, maybe Monday morning, get back, and then Tuesday hop right back in a van and with the trailer and come down to Phoenix, which, for him is what a 12-hour haul. I don't know what it is. So, I mean, we're
good
job.
12 to 16 hours from NorCal.
Oh my God, that's why I'm 50 and Gary's 30, whatever, and that's why he's hustling hard. I think he's about 35, but man, that guy hustles. He hustles.
Yeah, he does. But look at the results. I mean, he's running a good program. Is growing, which is why he has to go to Florida. Which, it's great. I mean, a local kid. I mean, that's like you said. I've had him on a number of times. But it's like that. It's just that perfect karting story of a junior kid working up the ranks, living in a warehouse, because he had such a passion for karting.
Yep.
And then now here he is as an adult, and he has his race team, and it's doing great.
Yeah, the first time I saw Gary, so I was working for a family called the Carmody family back in the late 90s. Their uncle eventually bought pits, and there's a couple of kids, Chris and Justin were the two brothers, and they raced against Gary in 80cc shifter at the early promoter tour. I don't know, there's been like four or five iterations. Maybe that's two, right? So it's been owned by so many people at this point. But Gary and his dad, were literally on the Cosmic sleeping in the van at Pat's Acres, little skinny kid with the bug eyes with his glasses. I'm like, who is this kid? This kid, come on. And then he went out and railed it. I'm like, oh, okay, this kid's a good kid to watch, right? And then, of course, Gary did all the stuff he did, and, it's a pleasure. been a pleasure to watch Gary all these years. I mean, when Gary introduced his kart brand, I was one of the first dealers to ever sign up, and honestly, I did it, out of respect for Gary and for love of what he did and what he represents. But over the past year, his brand needed more. I just don't sell a bunch of go-karts anymore because I'm a distributor and a promoter, and I'm not the guy at the track, as a team and hustling races. I'm just in a different business. So he had a team come to him, Formula Works down here, that wanted to get involved, and Gary basically asked me if it was okay, for him to sign them up as a dealer. And I said, dude, sign any solid team that's going to do what you want to do with your brand. I will step back. It's not, I don't need to be the sole dealer of your product. It does not. I did it for you. I didn't do it for my business. I did it because I believe in you. But I also believe that Formula Works or whoever would be an unbelievable, addition to your brand. He signed Formula Works, and I think they sold 50 go-karts in the last half of this past year. I mean, it's crazy, right? Gary can't keep up.
Yeah.
It's time. It's. By the way, Gary, if you're listening, it's time for you to get a shop and hire an employee or two. Okay, stop doing everything yourself. Start learning how to run a business, Gary. But sorry about that. That was a little.
I tried tagging him, but he doesn't allow comments on his personal page.
All right. But yeah, Gary will be down there. Formula Works will be at my race. They'll have an amazing presence. I think they have like 20 drivers. I mean, he's done an incredible job. I love stories like that. Then the next one coming, let's be honest, the next one coming is Race Liberante. We got Race Factory, and Race is coming with a group, the same deal. Race put in the time. I mean, Race Liberante, I've known. So I'll go back to that late 90s when, Gary was at Pets Acres and I was tuning for the Carmody family. Our Honda 80 tuner was Brian Liberante, Race's father. So now we're talking 21, 22 years ago, and maybe Race is 25. I don't even know how old Race is. Race is not old enough to race yet, right? Imagine your name is Race and you can't race. So I mean, fast forward, the first time Race ever really raced with me is when I was running the Gators Karting Cup, and he raced, Minimax with me. But yeah, so Race is the next up and coming guy, putting his name in a go-kart, and it's fun to watch these kids, whether it's Billy Musgrave or Gary Carlton or Race Liberante or whatever. It's fun and exciting to see our sport have an American influence. And we all know the tubes are bent in Italy and all this stuff comes from Italy, but it's still fun to watch these guys who are American and putting a business plan together and building stuff and building a race team and living their dream. It's fun to watch. And I it gives me energy. I'm a 50-year-old man, right? And it gives me energy watching these kids do this.
Yeah, and I mean, Gary had a hell of a Vegas. They did great down there. And then you had mentioned Formula Works.
For sure.
I mean, they won the tag class.
Mm-hmm. On a GFC.
On a GFC.
And Gary, I'll do credit to Gary, right? So, he gave credit to Tony because it was Tony Siragusa's program for Formula Works, and Gary supplied the material and supplied a little bit of tuning help, but in the end, it was Tony Siragusa's program, JQ driving it, and the tech barn had a little bit of a play in how things worked out, but whatever, you got to win legally, and that is what it is. So, in the end, yeah, Gary won the senior shifter class, the GFC won the tag senior class. So, by all means, I mean, what a great way. We look at the last race. It's karting, it's racing, and you've lived this for how many years, whether it be, one program or the other program or the other program. But the last race at Vegas sets the tone for the next race or the opening race of the next year. So it's like, man, what Gary did set the tone for 2021 at Challenge of Americas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you already said it. I mean, he won the shifter class with Oliver Askew.
Mhm.
Hunter Pickett finished third. Um, Jake Drew won the tag class. Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that that's the team to gun for.
Right now, I mean, look, there's a lot of ebb and flow in this deal, right? And
Absolutely.
pardon me, you're gonna hear some ice, so don't mind me.
What are you making?
But
I know it's not tequila.
no, 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 no. Not,
Which reminds
you
me,
really want to fight?
I have to
You
bring
want
you a bottle.
you want to fight me?
No.
You want to
I
fight
have
me?
to bring you a bottle, though, because I'm on my third visit to the trailer.
All right, well, put it in there. Somebody will drink it, buddy. Somebody will drink it.
It'll
Somebody,
be me.
you know what? You know what's funny is Tony Siragusa, I'll give him a little bit of props from Formula Works. Actually, put a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue in there this past week. So
Nice.
that's a $200+ bottle of scotch going in the trailer. So for all of you who come and take out of the FTK trailer, you know, you don't have to bring a bottle that's plastic like a bottle of mouthwash. You can put something nicer in there. I'm just telling you.
So, just for those that don't know, I mean, you like to have fun at your events, and you have a rule, right?
Absolutely.
What's the rule if they stop by the trailer for a beverage?
You know, hey, once you're welcome, twice you're welcome, third time you're welcome. Just bring a bottle. Just throw it in. And I don't care what it is. I don't care the size. I don't care the flavor. But please do not bring a plastic bottle of Smirnoff vodka if you're drinking, you know, Jameson out of a trailer. You know, but everybody's welcome. We have a great time at the end of the day. I got the music playing. The cooler's open. There's beer. There's whatever. You know, there's bottles. But as you know, this sport, this hobby is a lot of work, and it's a lot of money. You know, you can't hide from those things. But if you're not having a good time, you're doing it wrong, or you shouldn't be doing it. If you leave the track miserable, either try a different program, Challenge the Americas, or try a different sport. Because, man, I watch people all the time like, oh, I got to be at this race because it's the XYZ program, and it's the program. And they're miserable from the time they drop their card on the track to the time they leave. I guarantee you won't be miserable at my events. I guarantee that. And if you are miserable, come here. I'll make you not miserable in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Josh Huff. Good job on the margaritas. Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Why?
I mean, it is hard. It is work, and you know, I don't want to give people the impression that it's a drunk fest because it absolutely is not. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it is pretty fair to say. I mean, it's karting. Can we enjoy it? Can we have a good time with it? And
we need to all blow off steam. Blow off steam how you want to blow off steam. So,
yes.
So if you like to blow off steam by having a drink or two, come to my tent, have a good time. You know, go get a good meal at the end of the day, and wake up in the morning again ready to kick ass, or at least try to kick ass if you haven't kicked ass the day before.
Yeah. And then you have a great mix of different competitors at your events. You have, you know, junior dad and junior kid striving to be the next Formula car or NASCAR guy, whatever. And then you have the guy, you know, in his 30s or 40s that just, hey, I have disposable income. This is my outlet. I want to have fun.
Well, you know, everybody who knows me as, you know, before I got heavily into the promoter program, you know, as a quote unquote team owner, I never had anybody except Masters drivers. And, you know, I still, even though I run the program, I still have a few guys that travel with me when they feel like it, because they've been with me for 10+ years, and they're Masters guys. Masters guys, we have a good time. You know why? Because they can handle the music, you know, whether it be 70s music or whether it be, you know, 90s rap music with some cussing in it. And, you know, that's just my personality, and that's who I'm drawn to, and that's who comes to us, right? I'm sorry. The junior and the cadet dads probably aren't going to do well in our tent because, one, we can't give them the service they want because I'm too busy running the races, so they're going to get the better service and from the teams that support the races. Those guys are way better at it than I do. But I have a few Masters guys that come in. Maybe they have their own mechanic. Maybe they share another buddy who comes. We have a good time. That's who's in my tent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you said, there's a good mix. I mean, I started building the pit map today. So for my Challenge of the Americas events, people always ask me, how do I get the pit spot and blah, blah, blah. And I don't literally build the pit map until the weekend before the event. So my event is now in, let's see, we can move in 8 days, right? So Eric and I go up next Monday, which is a week from today. The big team, people can start moving in on Tuesday. The track runs practice Wednesday and Thursday. You're welcome to come. You're welcome to not to come. Doesn't matter. I take over a Friday morning. We run Friday practice, and we have a Saturday race and a Sunday race, right? So I don't build the pit map until I get all the pre-entries in and all the team requests in, because I use the teams. Best way I can tell you that the teams are the bricks, and everybody else is grout, right? So I'm looking at it today, and I'm going through all the teams, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there's 20 people that either got 1 or 2 pit spots just for themselves.
Well, give them a plug. Run down the teams.
Oh, whether it's you mean the big teams or the little guys?
I'd rather whatever you want to do. You could do both.
I mean, the big big guys
hours.
are. Yeah, oh yeah. I always talk too long, right? I mean, our sponsors are great, right? I mean, I'm blessed. Man, I'm going to give you the scoop here, and David Cole's going to be so mad at me, but I signed us a presenting sponsor this week, and it's more due to his generosity than really anything that I can provide. Mike Gouache, a longtime Norcal racer, as you know, Mike Gouache,
yep.
Signed on. His company, Royce and Baxter, that makes hand sanitizer. He signed on to be the presenting sponsor of the Challenge of the Americas. So he's up front and center. He's going to provide a bottle of hand sanitizer, a little handheld, a little, single serving, I won't say single serving, 2 ounce, something you can take on an airplane. A bottle of hand sanitizer to every wristband holder, right? So we're going to do that. I have M2 Brandwear, my longtime customer and friend, Mike Giles, who's going to provide a mask to everybody. So everybody that's a wristband is going to get a mask and a bottle of hand sanitizer. Like, okay. in today's climate, I don't think there's anybody who's doing that. Right?
I'm not aware of it. Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, Challenge is known for having the freaking cleanest racing on track, but we're going to be the cleanest in the paddock as well. So understand that. But then you have, all of our sponsors, whether it be, hold on. Sorry, somebody just texted me, and I got to answer them and say, stop texting me. I'm busy. Whether it be Empire Cards or, Gary Carlton GFC Racing or Acceleration or Odenthal or Ruthless, again, M2 Brandwear, E-Tail Kart. I don't know if I said Odenthal or not. Ron White Racing, Swede Tech. We have a lot of great sponsors, and I'm just excited that we're going to be able to provide them with the value that they deserve, and we're going to provide them with those forward direction, the pit space, right? A lot of those guys do it because they want the pit space up front, right? They're the tile as opposed to the grout, right? That's how this all started.
Yeah.
And then there's,
let me cut you off for a second. So 2020 for NorCal Karters was Year of the Club. That was going to be my push to really promote club racing or club events, not necessarily the big stuff.
Right.
2021, I've dedicated, I call it Year of the Award. So when we get done tonight, send me a list of your sponsors and the awards you have going out, and I will highlight those. And not just because you're a sponsor of NorCal Karters, but that was my kind of focus for 2021, the awards, because you guys bust your ass trying to bring extra value to the track, and all the promoters do it. And then it's like, okay, pre-enter, do this, do that, boom. And then if you're at the race, you kind of see the awards. And then after that, it's gone. So I told myself, I was like, I can bitch and moan that they don't do enough to promote the sponsors. So I'm going to promote the sponsors for you guys. So when you get a chance, send me that list of the awards and et cetera.
I appreciate that. I mean, we're blessed. We have some good sponsors that supply some products. So, Acceleration has always supplied us with, $1,500 worth of certificates.
Yeah.
And I break those up. So I do a raffle at every driver's meeting, each driver's meeting at each event. So the three. So we do our big driver's meeting, Friday night, right? We get through Friday practice when everybody's all hyped up, and then we do a driver's meeting at 5:00 Friday night. Probably going to take a half hour where the race director talks too much, but I need to do it that night because it removes one thing I got to deal with on Saturday, right? But then on Sunday we do a quick 10-15 minute driver's meeting because we want to talk about anything we need to correct for Saturday. But it's also when we do some raffle tickets. So we hand every driver a raffle ticket, and like I said, I divide up. I maybe hand up $500 worth of acceleration certificates, and some Odenthal motor mounts. He supplies us with stuff, and a couple sets of tires, and some T-shirts and hats. I mean, probably hand out $2,500, $33,000 worth of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So in the end, like you have 10 classes, only 10 people are going to go happy. Going to go home happy at the end of the day. So even if you're a 15th place guy, but you go home with a $100 gift certificate or a $200 motor mount or even a T-shirt or a hat, it makes it a little more fun. It makes the event a little more palatable for you, right? So I remember that I was a mid-pack guy for a long time, probably longer than I was a front pack guy for sure. And so just going home with something makes you feel like the value was there. Yeah, I spent a shit ton of money coming here, and I don't walk away from that, right? Our competitors, whether it's with us or the other guy or whatever, you're spending a shit ton of money to come race with us, and we appreciate it. Well, I appreciate it. I don't know what everybody else says, but I appreciate it so much. I just want to make sure you go home and feel like you got a great value for the money you spent, right?
Yeah.
You didn't win. Okay, I get it, right? Only one guy won, and you weren't that guy that day. But man, the officiating was amazing, or you were treated well. You were treated with a smile. You didn't get yelled at when you walked on the property, or the race promoter, in this case me, didn't ignore you when you walked down. When you saw the driver's meeting, you smiled and shook your hand. Like other people are like, oh, I see another guy and he doesn't even talk to me, right? So I just want to make sure that people know they're appreciated. I mean, this is what puts food on the table for my family, and I totally appreciate everything everybody does, the sacrifices they make for me and my family. I just want to make sure that I want to provide them with the greatest value I can. I mean, obviously I make money, I earn a living. This is what I do. I won't apologize for that, but I will also tell you that I completely appreciate you showing up and spending your hard-earned money with us, and we're going to give you the best value that we possibly can.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to try to do my part with my little show and my little website, and let's promote that. And if you're a promoter or a club that's out there and you're doing something similar, again, it's an open invite. Send me the list so I can take that off your plate, and I can help you promote to our Norcal audience what the race series are doing. And it's, again, I know a lot of the promoters put a lot of effort into it, but when you're short staffed and you're just worried, okay, it's like, all right, we had a good weekend. Okay, well, next event's 3 weeks away. Let's go.
Yeah, so, no, it's crazy, right? So
it is.
So here, the value that I'm trying to add this year, so I'm adding staff, right? So, some people here's my little. I'm gonna crack myself up a little bit here, but some people spend their money on hashtags and hard cards. We don't do that, okay? So I don't know if you got that, but I'll explain it to you later.
You have to dumb it down for me.
Yeah, well, like our marketing doesn't include a lot of hashtags, and we don't do, fancy hard cards to people because because it makes us seem important. Um, my marketing money is spent, or my budget is spent on adding staff. So, this year, or for the past years, I've always been, Taylor Jocelyn's my head race director, Mark Michion's his assistant. Technically they're kind of like co-race directors, but Taylor's 1A and Mark is 1B. I'll always give him that. And then, I had Casey Cook, a karting coach who teaches at the Porsche Experience and teaches karting schools. Worked a long time at Cal Speed. He's my flagman. He's an assistant race director. I call him the static assistant race director, right? Because he's at the start finish line all the time.
Okay.
And then this past year, I added Tyler Brooks, and Tyler Brooks was a long time. I tease him. He's the youngest Masters racer ever, right? Tyler Brooks is racing Masters at 18 years old because Tyler Brooks is like 6'4", 220 pounds, right? He was stuck. He's a career go-karter, loves the sport, loves racing, but unfortunately the wrong body type, right? So he was always stuck racing Masters as a young kid. I've gone wheel to wheel with him many times. Very respectful racer. I added him as an assistant race director this past year, and then now this year I've added one more because I know as our program builds that I'm going to need more of a steward type of role, which means somebody that when people think the call didn't go their way or they want to talk about it, right? I can't pull the race director off the track. So I got to be able to pull somebody off the track to be able to talk to him. And that'll be Mark Michion, who is always Taylor's 1B, as I told you. So in his place, I added Callum Smith. Callum Smith is I'm sure you know him, a 20-year-old Norcal karter, shifter racer, grew up karting, right? Just recently got married, but wants to still be involved in the sport, but maybe as a 20-year-old, we all know, right? At 20, dad maybe not going to pay anymore, but you still want to be involved. I get it.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure. That Callum stays involved. We hired him, and we hired his wife Gianna to kind of help us out in the registration department. So we're keeping the family together, and just like Tyler's wife, Megan Brooks is working with us too, in the tech and tire department. So we have a couple of couples working for us, younger couples, but I think it's important because we all know that those of us that go to races, we know the officials are not getting any younger. So I'm doing my best to find younger officials to kind of help, bridge the gap to the next generation.
That sounds great. Yeah, and I know Callum, he was up at Sonoma a lot last year.
Yep.
And then was he working with you as well on the crossover events that you had with Sonoma?
And that's where we kind of found him. So,
okay.
We did one early in the year and we didn't bring any staff. And then our CRC race at the end of the year, September, I think it was, we brought Taylor, my race director, and Shelby, my score admin person, Taylor's daughter, Shelby Jocelyn. And Taylor commented to me, he says, this kid working this corner, Callum, is really, really sharp. So Callum came to me and said, hey, man, I am interested in working more for you. So we had a little verbal, 10-minute verbal interview, so to speak. And then I approached him again, this fall and said, what is really your interest? And he just spelled it out for me. I was like, perfect. Let's get you done, right? And that's, it's an investment, right? So let's be honest. Every business, every promoter, we're trying to cut costs and maximize profit. That's business. But when I look at adding a quality member of staff or two, like Callum and his wife, adding those people, those pieces to what I have to do, and it gives our customers a better experience, that's an instant no-brainer. Like, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to spend the extra money. I mean, each staff person, what people don't realize is each staff person, by the time you figure out everything, is $2,500 to $3,000, right? Because you're talking about plane flights, hotel, pay, blah, 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 blah. So just round it up. So say 3,000. Well, you have 25, 20 people on staff, $60,000 in staffing costs, right?
Yeah.
I haven't rented a track. I haven't gotten an ambulance. I haven't paid for insurance. I haven't gotten a trophy. I haven't built a flag. I hadn't, whatever, right? And that's my business, and I'm not asking anybody to apologize for it. That's my job. That's what I do.
Well, I think a lot of that should also be more transparent, and not that the promoters are trying to hide it, but I think those are some of the costs. Even when I was racing, it's unless you sit down and think about it, it's these guys are making a bunch of money. Well, $2,000 a head just for staff. It's like that. And you're sitting there running down what you pay for. Like you just said, the flights, the lodging, the food, their day rate. It's like, oh yeah, that's not inconceivable.
And some of these people, right, some of the people are working for, what is good. The people at the top are working for less than what they would earn. I mean, I gotta be honest, guys like Mark and Taylor, they're in their late 50s. They have careers, right?
Yeah.
Do you think $300 a day is really what they're making in their real life?
No.
I mean, no.
They're
these
losing
are guys
money to help you out.
They've been in their field for 20, 30 plus years, right? They're earning a good, solid living as an American citizen, doing what they do in their life. They are taking vacation days to work for me.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, and I can't pay them what they're worth. And Tom can't pay them nobody can pay them what they're worth, right? But they do what they do because they love support. The sport. I try and I will do it again at Phoenix. At our first race every year, I try to tell everybody who these people are, because every year we have new people, right? I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of return business, but last year we had, 107 at Tucson, and this year we're going to have in the 130s or 40s or whatever it's going to be in Phoenix, right?
Yep.
And of that's probably 40 new names. So I got to explain to these people. I say, you don't understand. Like, these are people that sacrifice to come here. They're not. This isn't their job. They're not rolling. They're not, stepping out of the homeless shelter line to come be a race director. I mean, they're leaving a white collar, good careers, good jobs to come do this because they love it.
Yes.
They absolutely love it. Right. My race director, his son Cameron Johnson, was a national level karter. Mark's daughter Brianna was a national level karter. Dave Davies, he ran, a company. But my tech director, Dave Davies, ran a company that, did work for the big three auto manufacturers, and then ran SAC East for several years.
Yeah.
Robert Yardley, my assistant race director, had a kart shop in Utah, and then ran his son Colby Yardley on the national circuit for many years. So, I mean, you're talking about guys these are national, and Tyler Brooks raced nationally. Casey Cook is good enough to race nationally. Callum Smith, high-level Western regional racer, maybe did a couple national races or two. I mean, these are high-level people. These aren't people I got out of the job line or out of McDonald's, right? These are racers.
Yeah. Oh, and Tyler tuned at the national level for a number of years as well.
Yeah, absolutely, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
I mean, it's there's a lot of experience, and it's also a lot of perspectives too, and it's nice to have that.
Absolutely. I mean, it gives everybody when they come to my events, they're like, man, these are like every year they're like, well, 3/4 of the people are like the same people I see every year. Yeah, they're with me a long time because I treat them well. They enjoy what they do. I give them the autonomy to do their job, and we have a good time, right? And they love the sport. They just love the sport.
Well, it's nice when you have a good crew, and then you have consistency for the participants. Then you just build that rapport over the years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people know what to expect. The team owners that have been coming from year to year, obviously, the teams don't change terribly, but obviously the customers do. But the teams know. So if a customer thinks, oh man, my kid got wronged, I'm going to go complain. The team owner's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't. It's probably best if you don't. I know what we're dealing with here, and he makes the right call about 97.2% of the time, so I probably shouldn't say a word.
So what are your
what else? What
what
do
are
you
your
want
plans
to
for
talk about?
Yeah, we could talk about anything. I mean, you're sitting there
I know,
stirring
we
your
always
drink.
do.
Was
By the way,
it a glass stirrer or was it a plastic stirrer or a fork?
Well, that was just me shaking it.
Oh,
that
okay.
was so we went on the phone an hour. Is there anybody listening to this thing actually?
Probably not.
I thought you had stats. I thought you had live stats.
I don't have live stats.
Oh, damn it! All right,
no,
all right.
I'm not to that level yet. I need to charge. I need to charge more for my sponsorship to get to that level.
Hey, I sent it to you within 1 hour.
You did. you did. Yeah. No, it's I've had some really good supporting sponsors, and right now the limiting factor is me. And it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do next? And okay, where do I put the time and effort to bring more value to the racer?
And as a sponsor, I got to tell you, I am more apt to spend my money locally, which I consider you locally, regionally. I'm more apt to spend my money with somebody like you who invests in the sport and just is trying to promote the sport at a local, regional level. I'm more apt to spend my money with you than anybody else. I mean, I spend my money. Karting News, they do a great job. They announce my races and do their thing. That's our deal. But I'm not spending money with Vroom. I'm not spending, I'm spending money with guys like you. And so I appreciate what you do.
You have a national level series, so you need to hire those national level media guys. That's just bottom line. You have to for the exposure and their reach.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything you want to cover? Do you want to? You kind of hinted. You said that you had 130, 140 pre-entries already for Phoenix.
We're in the 120s. We always get. I'll bare my soul here, right? So everybody waits till the last minute. We all want to keep our money in our pockets to the last possible time, which I know I'm a consumer too. Whatever I buy, I want to keep my money in my pocket to the last absolute minute, right? So we have a deadline, and man, like on Thursday we were sitting at like 52 entries, and I couldn't sleep.
Let me see. Thursday was
Thursday 4 days ago.
Yeah.
4 days ago.
January 8th.
Right.
No, 7th.
Yeah, right.
And your cutoff was
whatever.
the 10th.
Yeah, so that was last night, okay. Right? So, and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I got $100,000 worth of tires coming. I got $20,000 worth of fuel coming. I'm just trying. How am I gonna pay for this? Right? It's just business. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just telling you, it's just business. And you got staff flying in. I've spent $5,000 on plane tickets and $5,000 on hotels, and then all of a sudden they just start rolling. They just start rolling, and my phone's going bing, 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 and it doesn't stop binging. And all of a sudden, it closed last night at midnight, so we always leave it open until maybe like noon the next day. And all of a sudden, I looked down and went, oh shit, we crossed over 120. Okay, all right, so we did 57 entries in like 3.5 weeks, and then another 63 entries in 3.5 days, right?
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the business. I should know better. I've been doing this I've been running series since 2004, so now we're in the 18th year. I should know better because the teams always ask for their pit spots and how much space they need. Like if Gary Carlton needs 8 pit spots, he's not bringing 3 people, right? But on Thursday he had 3 people entered. Today he's got like 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But man, I'm stressing and going like pulling. I would say pulling my hair out, but you know me, I have no hair, so I just shake my head like I do this every year to myself, every stinking year. And I know, right? We'll get a few stragglers. This, we'll I think the entry closes tonight. I think we leave it open. Sean, quote unquote, accidentally leaves it open another 24 hours just to make sure. So it's open right now. If you're listening, if you're the one person listening that hasn't entered. So we'll hit 125, and then we'll get another 10 walk-ups, and all of a sudden we'll be at 135 or 140. And our all-time record is in the 140s, and we're missing 15 Canadians that couldn't get across the border. So,
I guess we still have
once again
those issues, don't we?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I have a family, the Cassell family, who came down with Darryl Redland, Jordan Redland's dad. They were with 5 entries. That's 5 entries that are gone because they can't get across the border. Right? Wow. It's not getting across the border. It's getting back because Canada is so tough that they have to quarantine for 14 days. Well, by the time you quarantine for 14 days, you come back down here and racing again at Cal Speed next month, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if we could, let's say it's 10%, if we could still have 15% growth when we're down 10% of our entries because of COVID, that's a home run. I mean, that's like saying, I mean, logistically, that's like saying we had a 25% growth year. You know what I mean?
So how are your classes stacking up right now? I mean, let's blow by the shifter stuff because the shifter stuff has been solid.
I'm not gonna.
For the
I don't know the exact. I don't know the exact, but I can tell you that last year we opened Tucson with 107 entries, and 7 of them were cadets.
Okay.
And right now we have 20 cadet entries. So we've tripled our cadets.
So you went from 7 to 20.
Yeah.
Cadets.
So cadets, right?
Perfect.
That's mini and micro.
Yeah.
So for the strength and the health of a program, that is a huge, huge indicator, right?
Yeah.
Because those customers, if you treat them well, and we work hard to make sure that we do, they'll come back next race and next year and next year after that, next year after that. So if we do our job, which I'm confident in my staff and what we do, if we treat them well, they will be 5-year customers.
Yeah, that's
right?
True.
So I love those numbers, right? So, every class has its ebb and flow. It's ebb and flow. I mean, I watched a series in Florida, supposedly the big, shifter kart series have, 11 total shifter karts in and we have, 15 in each class or whatever we have. So I'm not worried about that. Our 100 stuff is strong. On the West Coast, it's funny. The 125 stuff seems to be weakening in tag, but the 100 stuff is getting strong. Where on the East Coast, the 125 stuff is still strong. The 100 stuff hasn't caught up to it yet. It's weird. It's kind of like music, right? When we were growing up, I don't know if you remember it because you grew up in California, but a song would come out in 1985 and it wouldn't hit the East Coast till 1987.
Yeah, so I lived in California, so we probably had it in 1981.
Exactly. So I talk to my friends back east. I'm like, this song is fresh. I go back and visit my family in Chicago. They're like, this is the best new song. I'm like, new song? This thing was out 2 summers ago. What are you talking about?
This song is fresh. So, I just pictured you in some Oakley Razors, hot pink.
Oh, you don't even know, man. You don't even know. I brought my own cardboard to the party.
Killing me.
So, let's talk about the rest of the challenge, and then let's talk about CRC this year.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so we have.
Well, go ahead. Ask some questions. Be a journalist. Do something.
I'm not a journalist.
Pretend. By the way, you're not working for this. Now it's my turn. I see you're not working for the same driver you were working for this year. Who were you working for at Challenge, Chase?
Well, I keep my stuff confidential because I don't want to ruin it.
Really?
No, not really. I will actually be under the GFC tent with Wick.
Mm-hmm. Wick, that's right. You are Connor Wick.
Wicked. Yep. Yeah, I've never
I
worked.
saw
So
that.
I worked with Wick when I was at SwedeTech as far as just passing by. It's always been a really nice family. Um, so I'm really looking forward to working with Connor. And it's a
Oh, good.
shifter.
I know
I
you and your shifters.
I don't I just like the shifter stuff.
I understand.
And
I
I'm trying to
understand.
get out of the role of working in general, but as you
I
kind of hint to
understand
that,
that.
you
I understand
as you hint to that, I mean Gary's stuff has been growing so fast. It's like, well, I go if you need the hand, I guess. And I didn't want to leave Gary stranded. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I have always loved going to the races.
that. Of course.
It is a lot of fun, and working with new drivers is also a lot of fun.
Right.
I've watched Gary's program. It'll be fun to work under the tent. So yeah, I'll be down there with GFC and Wicked.
Wicked.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's a
saying
great
Wicked
family.
because
Craig.
it's Wicked
Craig.
Fabrication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Craig is badass. I mean, I've that family. Craig and the boys raced with me at my old Gator series way back, and the original early challenge series. They used to come out with Raleigh.
Yeah.
And I mean, from like mini max days, right? So I know that family a long time. I respect them. I love what they do. I love that they're career karters. Craig is a blue collar fab guy. Built some amazing stuff. So it's fun. As I get older, you kind of realize that what you like and what you don't like, and you respect what guys have accomplished, right? Whether it be in the boardroom or whether it be in the shop, but you still throw the bullshit away and what guys want to tell you they accomplished. You just look at what they actually accomplished, and you're like, okay, I respect that guy. That guy's badass.
Yeah. Oh, so that brings up actually a great point, and this is going to segue for another hour. And then so for those that are wondering, it's wickedfab.com. And
there you go. Right.
There's some bitchin'
Plug.
machines.
Hopefully he spent some money to a sponsor, and you're not doing it for free.
He did kind of hire me.
Yeah, but that's different. The sponsorship of the show is different. You gotta separate the two.
Yes. So I'm trying to make sure I get the name right, and I don't know if he ever ran your series, but the name was Thomas Healy. Healy. Does that sound familiar?
No, that doesn't at all.
So apparently he is out of Texas, and he is
Okay.
the CEO of a company called Hyliion, which is a EV hybrid. They're trying to do electrification for semi trucks.
Okay.
And on one of his online resumes, it showed up that he was a road tax champion.
Really?
And I had no idea. Like, I was looking at the stock and that popped up. And it's like, wow, what a weird karting world. It's like, there's a chance I maybe rubbed elbows with this guy. It was probably an ass. Me being the ass.
Most likely.
But, so that name does not sound familiar. Healy?
No, not that I've seen.
No. But, no, you were talking about the boardroom and what different people do. And it just, that's what I love about karting, the relationships. And you never know who you're going to meet. You don't know their background. You get to meet these people. I met some of my best friends from karting.
Oh, I agree. I mean, there's salt of the earth. I mean, I cross the line maybe too much, right? So I get really attached to my customers, and my customers in general stay with me for a very, very long time. And then, I've lost a few, I've gained a few, but by and large, they stay with me for a long, long, long time. So my current batch, right? I got Mike Giles, who does, he owns M2 Brandware, who does all my screen printing and embroidery or whatever. I have Ed Quinn, who sells medical equipment to doctors that do back surgery. So he has to be in the operating theater. with the right rods and screws and all the weird shit for that, right? I got a guy named Tom Vano, who isn't even a customer anymore, who quit racing 4 years ago, but he's still on our text thread for some God knows reason. But Tom's like runs a mutual fund investing group, and then you got Dave Pergandy, who is technically with another team, but he's been my friend for 20 years. He's an electrical engineer on oil platforms. You just get like think of what I just said to you, right?
Yeah.
Paul Bonilla, and then Paul Bonilla, who sells real estate. There's this wacky like mix of such very different people. But that's a cool thing, is they just all mixed and they meet at the car track, and they're the same person. They're all once they put on their helmet and leave the grid, they're the same. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Right?
Yeah, it's just
I think
a
I
good
told.
sport for that.
I don't know if I ever told you a story. This is one of the nasty Indy stories. But when I was at a race, and a dad's didn't think his kid was getting the right deal, and he did the thing that I hate by all dads. You know how much money I spent to come here? And I turned around and I said, yeah, let's look at the paddock. And I'm like, just as much as that guy. I just pointed to the paddock to 27 people, right? Because everybody spends a lot of money to come to these races. Whether you spent a lot of money or not doesn't give you a special get out of jail free card, right? And I told that dad, I said, and if I was especially rude that day, I got to be honest, because he was kind of being a dick. But I said, if we raced on bank accounts and tax returns, none of you would even have to show up. And to be honest, you wouldn't even finish in the top 20 in this crowd.
Wow.
And that dad, yeah. And
Did he come back?
he still races with me today. The point is, we don't race on tax returns. We don't race on freaking bank accounts. Everybody spends a lot of money, right? And I get it. To some people, $50,000 is a lot of money, and to somebody, $5,000 is a lot of money. Somebody, $500 is a lot of money. That's the beauty of our sport.
Yeah.
But please don't use that as a reason to try to convince a call to go your way, because the rules are the rules. So it is what it is. We look around, we go, yeah, there's 150 people, 150 racers in the paddock, and they all spend a significant amount of money to get there. Doesn't matter. Just go by the rules and go race.
Yeah. Has anyone ever just said, "Do you know who I am"?
No, but they've done one better, and this is going to be so. They said, your race director hates my kid, and I know you've heard that one. And no, your race director. I said, no, our race director does not hate your kid. Our race director just sees a number and a bunch of helmets. I don't care what your ego is. Our officials, whether it be mine or any other series, right? Whatever people think about any other series, the race directors don't know who your kid is. They're just watching numbers and go-karts and helmets.
Yeah.
They don't know that's X so-and-so. You know why? Because they don't get on your Instagram. They don't get on your social media. They have no effing clue, right? All they know is that kid smashed that kid in corner 3. That's all they know. But I had a dad tell me, and finally I just got tired of it. He's like, your race director hates my kid. I said, my race director doesn't know who your kid is, but I can tell you who my race director hates. He's like, who does your race director hate? I said, my race director hates you, because you caused too many fucking problems at my race. And that guy still to this day races with me. Because somebody was real with him.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Right?
Well, and there is
people
that
push.
fine line. You've been around it forever, so it's like, tempers fly and everything else, and sometimes people just need that cooling off, and it's like, okay, well, let's hash it out over a beer, and all right. Are you coming back? Let's move on.
I usually cool it off by being a colossal smartass. I have a different, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm also the guy, and you've seen me on my races, I'm also the guy that in the midst of the biggest, nastiest battle on track, I'm standing on the grid for the world to see. If you want to talk to me, come find me. I'm right here.
Yeah.
I don't hide. I do not hide. I do not have $1 million motorhome that I hide in. I do not have that. I cannot afford that. I stand on the grid, and if you want to make your statements to me, make your statements to me. I will take it like a man, but you understand that my rebuttal is going to be like a man too. And if I hurt your feelings, that's not my problem.
Well, you should spend more time on podcasts that have more listeners, and then you'd be in a position to have a $1 million motorhome.
Probably so. I don't want $1 million motorhome. I don't care. I don't care. I don't need that. I don't need $1 million. I don't need a $2 million house. I don't need $1 million home. Some people do. I know right where they live, right above a winery in Temecula. But I don't have that. I don't have that.
You know what? I really would not mind $1 million motorhome.
You know why?
I really
want to pay
would
the
not
insurance.
mind
I don't want the insurance and the upkeep.
Well, that's true. That is true, but I wouldn't mind it.
I got you. All right.
So what else we got?
I don't know. Well, what's next? We got Cal Speed in a month after this one. I think that's going to be great, as we all know. Cal Speed's always worth 20 plus entries. I mean, we went from 107 at Tucson last year to 141 at Cal Speed. So Cal Speed was literally worth 34 entries.
Yeah.
So,
so
if we get to where I think we're going to be at Phoenix, and we add 34 entries, we'll be in the 170s, which will be the biggest race on the West Coast, California for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And then we got a Sonoma. So I know that Sonoma's closed down right now. I've talked to the people in charge, and they're figuring out a way they can work back. I have no issue. Excuse me, I'm yawning. I have no questions about how they're going to reopen. That's their business. But by the time we get to March, they'll be back open again, and we'll be doing what I do. We'll have to wear masks. We'll have to do our deal. Yada yada yada. But we'll get it done. I have no feelings that the challenge will at all be shortened this year. If somehow, wonder of wonders, that happens, I do have a track on backup for our date. So this is what it is. We'll just pivot, right? As far as CRC goes, the CRC, my summer program, I think, man, we went from 26 entries at the very first CRC race in Buttonwillow in 2019. 2019, we had 26 entries, right? To the opener in 2020, we had 105 in Phoenix. So we only, I don't know, did something super silly. We just almost quadrupled the amount of entries from one year to the next. So I think that is going to be a great program. I think people really appreciate it. Programs get stale over time, and I work hard to make sure what we do stays fresh. There's been another long-time regional program that's been, literally 5 years ago it was at 200, and this year is at like 75. So it's obviously, on its last legs. I mean, it's just not fresh, and people are just tired of it. And I can blame whoever, I can throw shade however I want, but in the end, everything has a shelf life. So I'll just leave it at that. So us with our Rock the Rio tickets and our, and all the prizes and the fun events and how we treat you, I think people are really starting to enjoy our program. So we're going to start out the CRC in May at Buttonwillow, which, regardless of COVID rules, has proven to be kind of a bastion of free enterprise.
Yeah.
I think they have a very friendly county commissioner, county sheriff, whatever, and they're just like, yep, come, we're good, we're ready to go. So I have zero concerns about that race going off. I mean, I've paid the track rental fee. I've contracted the ambulance. It is January, and that race in 4 months, I've already paid for the ambulance and the track rental. So, that should tell you my state of mind. as far as the logistics of the event. After that, in June, we go up to Sonoma, which is, like I said, I have no thoughts about that event not happening up in Sonoma. I'm going to skip July because I want to end with it. Back in August, we'll be back.
Come on.
Back in Sonoma in August. We'll do another combined event with Steve. We supply parts and tire support. Maybe bring a person or two. But in the end, if we train Callum and Gianna right, they could pretty much run the program themselves. I'm convinced with that. And then obviously end again in Buttonwillow in September for a nice program. But the gem of the summer on the West Coast by far is going to be
let me backstep. September. CRC ends at Buttonwillow?
Yeah, that ends at Buttonwillow.
Okay, because last time just had a to be announced.
Yeah, if you go to our website, I think it's up there unless Sean Buer has not done his job, which is entirely possible because he's kind of flaky. But I only pay him about 50% of what he's worth, so it's fine. Let's see, California Rock Championship. Oh, it still does say TB. All right, I'll have him fix that right now. So hold on. I'm on the computer and on the phone at the same time. Sean, CRC, bear with me.
Yep.
Please fix September.
We run a professional high level show.
Boom. Hey, look, I'm in a little business right now. We're getting you done. Think about this. If you had this insight to how Congress worked, you might not feel so bad about the state of our nation right now. If people had podcasts with members of Congress and they were on their emailing their constituents, you might not feel so bad about it, right?
There's a reason they don't do
that. Yeah, because the payoff comes when you hit send.
Yeah.
So open at Buttonwillow, combined with so May to September, May, June, July, August, September. Open at Buttonwillow, combined with Sonoma, July. We'll talk about it in a minute. Combined with Sonoma again in August, close at Buttonwillow, right? And then the middle, like I said, the gem event of the West Coast. End of July, I believe it's July 24th to 26th. I don't have the exact calendar in front of me.
23rd to 25th.
23rd to 25th. Pat's Acres, which is a track that has been, at the forefront of American karting for 25 years, whether it be the ICAF Grand Nationals, Scusa Pro Tour version 1 or 2, can't remember, a couple owners ago when they actually ran it. You like that. So, Portland, middle of the summer, camp at the track. It's light till 10 at night. We're going to run that's the one CRC program. We're going to run like a challenge format, Friday practice, Saturday race, Sunday race.
Okay.
So people that are traveling get a better value for their dollar. Right. I mean, CRC, that's a couple hour drive from everybody. They can come up, do a Saturday practice, Sunday race, and go home. The Pat's Acres is a full kind of challenge format. So CRC is best 5 of 6. Obviously, 2 of the events, 2 finals will be at Pat's Acres. But for people, there's a whole generation of karters, as you all know, that do not even know that Pat's Acres exists.
Yeah.
And they need to be introduced to it. They just absolutely need to be introduced to it.
It's going to be, for those that don't know, it's a beautiful track. The area is beautiful. You can plan your summer family vacation around this event.
Oh my God. The paddock is big enough. People can camp. There's a campground across the street. So if you want to rent a camper and stay at an actual campground, there's one across the street. It is 20 minutes south of Portland. If you are a city dweller, go to Portland. Chris Egger and his family, I mean, they've owned it for 20 plus years. I employ I employ Maddie, his daughter, as as my race secretary. Nicole, formerly Wimsit, now Sluggers, used to run the whole place, and she's handled some stuff for me. And Dalton Egger is actually working in a mechanic. His second oldest son is working as a mechanic in my pit this next weekend. Cam, the oldest son, he was my flagman for a little bit. Right? So that family's a karting family. They run a great program up there. Friday night, it's late till, like I said, almost 10 o'clock because it's super northern hemisphere. We'll be done by 5. Chris is going to put together a mechanics race on all their concession cars, all their fun cars, like an hour-long deal. I mean, that'll be almost the highlight of the weekend. I mean, the shifter final is going to be great because Ron White's going to jump in that one and everything else. But oh my God, the mechanics racing in the fun car race.
Poor equipment.
the lineup on the fence, the lineup. There'll be so many red cups on the fence. There'll be more red cups on the fence than actually fence you can see, probably, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not supposed to highlight him, but I know that your podcast has a super limited listenership, probably like 4 people. But in our master shifter class, we had an entry this week that came through, Michael Valiente.
Really?
Yeah.
For
master shifter
for Phoenix.
Yeah, for Phoenix. So
wow,
it'll be fun.
Number 95 or whatever your guys'
number 95. Number 95 has come back in, and then Alan Shuto is back racing. So you have some serious old school heavy hitters coming back to try their hand at rock shifter. The rock shifter reminds them of the old ICC days, or their old good shifter days. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be very fun.
I know Shuto's not running Masters, correct?
No. Shuto.
He's running pro.
He may not be able to. I don't know. It's hard. I don't keep track of all that. I mean, I get enough going on. I get calls every day. What's going on with this? What's going on with this? It's like I am not a micromanager. I do not know every last detail. I'm a broad strokes guy. I put everything in place, and then I kind of manage the pieces. Right? That's my management style. That's why I have the same people for so long, because I let them do their jobs and I don't meddle. Right? So.
Well, he ran
Sonoma
at Rockfest, and he was top 5 all weekend.
Shuto, yeah.
Yeah, Shuto in the senior or a senior/pro class.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll be fun. I haven't seen Cole Shade. I don't think I saw Cole Shade in there. I'm not sure if he's hurt or not still.
They were out this past weekend testing out the ribs again. But that's the last thing I kind of saw him post on the is at Dixon. So if they weren't hurt, they probably are now.
Yeah, I bet. All right.
So hopefully there's good news from that camp from GFC/Track Magic, and he's going to be healthy for Phoenix.
Right. We'll see. We shall see.
What other spoilers you have, or breaking news? Breaking news
I don't know.
Andy Seesemann.
Breaking news. I don't know if we have any breaking news. Like I said, as all the entries come, people think that, I babysit these entries like I know everybody's coming in. I just don't. They ping on my phone and into my email, and I'm just too busy trying to put all the big pieces in place to worry about if, oh my God, Jason Berry is racing Minimax. Oh God, who's racing?
You'll never catch me in Minimax.
Well, I would never catch you on the track anyway. You're just
the grids in those cadet classes just are not fun or enjoyable.
You're just too fast. I couldn't catch you. Actually, you know what? I'll give you the one spoiler. For the one spoiler?
Yeah.
The one The one guy I'm overjoyed to see racing,
Okay.
Anthony White. So Anthony White
yeah.
at our Ron White's nephew, Joe White's son,
Yep.
at our September combined race, our CRC finale, at our combined race at Sonoma in September, had a big bad flip and then actually got hauled away in the ambulance and then got taken back by helicopter
Yeah.
to Children's Hospital of Oakland because of some internal injuries, right?
Yep.
So September, fast forward now 4 months, and Anthony, well, they've registered him to race now for a mini. Now he's in junior 100. So I am as a promoter, I am an oddball, right? So it's awesome. Michael's racing, Valiante, that said, right? If Michael Schumacher was racing, wow, that'd be amazing. Okay, regardless of whatever, but okay, Sebastian Vettel or Lewis Hamilton. Oh my God, Lewis Hamilton's racing, right? That's amazing. I get way more excited, especially as a father, for stories like Anthony White, who had an accident that he ended up in the hospital for a while, and then sucked it up, got better, got back in the car, and now he's coming back. I get geeked about stuff like that. That makes me so happy. Like, I will give him, it's going to gross him out as a 12-year-old boy. I'm going to give him a big old hug and a high five. And, it's going to be fun. I just get so happy and geeked out and proud when I see stuff like that. So that's the one I'm happiest about, to be honest.
Yeah, that's really good news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially when it's the juniors. You don't like seeing the kids get hurt.
No, heck no. Oh, let's see who just answered me. Somebody just answered me. Oh, yeah. Shade's still injured.
Is he?
Yeah,
you have
that's what Gary just said.
Man, you really do need to be a co-host because you have more cutting information than I do.
I asked about Shade and Rusbarski. Said Rusbarski has transitioned to cars, and Shade is still injured.
Wow.
So there you go.
That explains the entry.
Buddy, I am on it. I am at the cutting edge.
You are.
He said he went to Dixon and within 2 laps is in pain. I mean, it's hard. I mean, we all know rib injuries suck, right? But what Shade has like 0.5% body fat, so that's not good.
Yeah, it was a separated cartilage or something like that as well. So
it
wasn't just a normal bruising of the ribs.
Exactly. That's what happened.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else?
What else, dude? I just hope we get through 2021. I mean, it's going to be another challenging year for everybody. We're just gonna have to soldier through it. I will go back to my original statement. As much as I'd like to support guys like me who put on bigger level events, I do understand that the financial situation is going to be tough with lockdowns or certain things. We all, a lot of karters, as we know, own their own businesses, right? I mean, most people in karting are contractors or owners of businesses or whatever. So I get it. I know what people do. I am in touch with my customers. I'm pleasantly surprised and happy that they still are able to support what we do. But if you can't, as the year progresses, just please support your local track. Your local track needs you. It absolutely. We all need you, but your local track needs you because a lot of these places, if a Dixon or a Davis can't pay their rent, the county might close them. Or a Prairie City, the government might close them, like the Stocktons, the Atwaters. Even though I think Atwater's closed, I'm not sure.
Atwater
I've never
is
been
closed.
there.
Yeah,
I've never been there. But the point is, a lot of these are in government land or on very favorable leases. Please just support. I get it. Just throw your stuff in your trailer Go out to the track, spend your $100, go support them. I mean, if your sport needs you, and this year showed it. 21 is going to show it worse because everybody's really going to kind of pucker a little bit as things if things have a little bit of another close down. Everybody's going to pucker really fast. Just support your local track. They need you. They need your $100. Right? You can survive without $100 this week. That $100 may keep them in business another week. You don't know. So please support the local events. Go out and do what you do. Enjoy your hobby. Support the club. Support the local events because man, that's what's going to keep the Reddings and the all these places alive. That's all I ask.
Yeah, no, and that's like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, like 2020 was my year of the club, and I'm still going to do that and add on 2021 year of the awards. And I've actually been spending a lot of time out at Prairie City lately because, one, they're 35 minutes away from my house. It's
right.
It's so close. I used to go to Davis a lot because I had my little system. I'd load the truck. I'd stop at the local nugget market. I'd get my deli sandwich, and then drive right down the street to Blue Max. And well, but Blue Max, they haven't really put on any race events because of the COVID, because they're on city property, as you just mentioned,
right.
Government property. They're on city property,
right.
So they're walking on eggshells, and it's very limited how many people can be out there. Blah 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 blah. So I started going out to Prairie City, seeing all the effort that the Durbans have put into the track it's been nice. I mean, just little things here and there that actually make a difference.
Yeah.
They have their cameras input. They installed cameras so you could see the whole track on 2 large screen TVs. They cleared out a bunch of brush so you could see the other side of the track. Just little improvements that make a difference.
Absolutely.
And I'm in my routine. I found another grocery store that's on the way that I can grab my deli sandwich and just go right to the track.
Beautiful. I'm in. I love it. I'm in.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, and there's a whole different group of guys that are out there in the middle of the week than there are on the weekends.
So, I think I told you this when we talked the very first time, right? So, I've been to Europe, I don't know, 12 times, right? I've been to Lonato half a dozen times or whatever. And Lonato, which is, kind of the epicenter of, I wouldn't say Italian karting, almost karting, right? Lonato is, John Elway could hit the CRG factory with a football from the Lonato, right? Tony Kart's 20 minutes away, Burrell's an hour and a half away. Okay, right? But so they're close. And I've been to Lonato on a Wednesday or a Tuesday, and you literally see the Tony Kart factory team there. Back then, this is 10 years ago, but Michael Schumacher was there with the Tony Kart factory team.
Yeah.
And then next to them was some dude in an old Sprinter van and a 1994 Mac Minarelli air-cooled shifter, right? And because everybody's, oh, I saw on the website or I saw on the Vroom magazine or saw this, like Italian karting, it's like Formula One everywhere. I'm like, no, it's the same wherever you go. Like, yeah, you're at Lonato on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and Schumacher's over the Tony Kart factory team, and then there's Jason Berry in his Sprinter van and his LO206. You know what I mean? Not that they have that, but you know what I mean. Your Mac Minarelli air-cooled shifter from 27 years ago, right? It's no different from going to Dixon, and Jason Berry is there with his LO206, and then Gary Carlton is there with his factory team testing a new iteration of chassis. They're like, It's the same. It is exactly the same, right? It's karting, right? It's just funny. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, no, and again, we just gotta support them. Get out there and find your groove for local karting. I mean, that's just it.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it is Currently, it was, and it always will be a participation sport. When people say that, the key to getting karting bigger is to be on TV, karting was on TV more in the 80s than it ever was now.
Are you serious?
Have you ever? Karting used to have Thursday Night Thunder on ESPN, and it was oval racing in the Indianapolis Velodrome, which was basically the bicycle oval, like the 8th-mile bicycle oval.
Yeah. Okay.
You used to have oval karting on Thursday nights in the summer in Indianapolis in the late 80s, and ESPN used to televise it live. They called it Thursday Night Thunder. There was right. That's CBS Sports filming the Supernats or the Rock the Rio or the Rotex Nationals or whatever, right? That's all great. That's a one-shot deal. But for a year or two in the 80s, ESPN had karting on every Thursday night. Guess what? It's no bigger now than it was. It was no bigger the next week than it was the week before. Karting is karting. It's a participation sport. People have to search it out and have to love to do it.
Yeah.
So just provide those people. TV ain't gonna get more people to do it. Provide the people that are doing it with the best experience possible. That's the only way it's gonna be.
Yeah. No, and I will take it a step further though. It is nice when some of these tracks actually put the amenities and improvements in where it makes it easier to bring our family.
Mm-hmm. Oh, buddy. Grandstands and bathrooms.
Yeah.
Grandstands, bathrooms, and bathrooms, and snack bars.
Yes.
So, every track wants to be Newcastle. Every track wants to be Miller. Every track wants to be NOLA. If they saved $100,000 on building the track by shortening it by 1/10 of a mile, because remember we talked about asphalt's $1 million a mile, shorten your track by 1/10 of a mile and save $100,000 and build a nice grandstand, a nice snack bar, and a nice bathroom.
Yeah.
That's money way better spent.
Absolutely.
There's a track in Denton, Texas, North Texas Karters, right? One of the best fun little club tracks I've ever been to. Every 4 pit spots, there is a little like a railroad tie that sticks up from the ground that has power. And as a visiting person, you can rent power for $5 a day.
Okay.
So can you imagine? There's a club track, right? The last national event it ever had was the Rotex Nationals in 2003. Okay. But can you imagine going to this track as a national team and getting your pit spots, right? So every 4 pit spots, you're gonna take your 8 pit spots. So it means you can plug in 2 different places for $5 a day. That's $10 a day.
Yeah.
You're there for a week. So you're there for 5 days, right? Okay. So for $100, you can plug in your entire power system. Plugged in to shore power, ground power.
Yeah.
What would that team spend in generator gas over 5 days?
Oh. Quick math? Probably $50 to $70.
$300? How much?
I'm thinking just a little generator. How big of a team?
If they run 8 pit spots, they'd have to probably run two to three 5,000-watt generators, which burn about 5 gallons a day. So they're probably burning at least 10 gallons a day. They're probably burning $30 a day, right?
Yeah.
The point is, here's a club track.
Yeah, with power.
30 miles north of Dallas, Texas, that has power for their pit spots, right?
Yeah.
So, and their bathroom has air conditioning and a shower.
Well, it is Texas, so they definitely need the AC.
Right. So
they have it.
instead of building a mile-long track at $1 million a mile for asphalt, they saved a little money, and they spent some money on power for the paddock and air conditioning bathrooms. How does that help the overall experience? Do you think that helps the overall experience as opposed to 3 more seconds of track?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it just adds that extra, I guess,
It's value.
convenience.
It's just value. Value. I call it
Yeah.
value, but yeah. I've had people ask me over the years, how many, I don't know if you ever had this, but people are like, I'm thinking about building a track. Can you give me some advice? You've been around, right? Andy, you've been around for 30 years. Jason, you've been around for 20 years. I'm building a track. Give me some advice. What do I need to do? And I always, my answer is always the same. Take your property, build the paddock, the grid, the scoring tower, the pro shop, the ingress, and the egress, and then build your track. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, build all that stuff and then build the track with what's ever left because you need all that stuff. No. We want to build the biggest, baddest ass track we can with our 23 acres. I'm like, no. But then you end up with a track that has no paddock, a dumbass scoring tower, no viewing places, no, like a scale you come off at 100 miles an hour and have to stop within 4 seconds, a grid that's 12 spots long instead of 20 spots long. No, build all of the other things and then build the track. I guarantee you, your track designer can make something badass in, 21 acres instead of, 23 acres. You know what I'm saying? It just cracks me up.
Yeah, well, even a lot of our Norcal tracks, they're older, 70s, 80s built tracks.
For sure.
And I'm driving them, and they actually don't need to be much longer. They just need to be a little bit wider.
Wider. It's just wide because cars are half a foot wider now.
Yeah, and then you kind of just nailed it. It's like, you're not taking up much more square footage, but if it was a little bit wider, it just becomes a little bit more raceable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you wrap this one up however you want.
Man, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I mean, geez, I'm going full bore. I mean, our entry supposedly closed tonight. It was supposed to close last night. Sean said it's closing tonight. So if you're one of the 3 people listening and one of you has not entered and you're supposed to enter, please enter.
Please do it.
Exactly. We're buttoning everything up this week and prepping everything to go. This is crunch time for us, right?
Was listening.
What is that?
Well, because I did most of the
national
Facebook
championship football game.
No, I did most of the promotion on Facebook and Twitter earlier, and apparently most everyone logged off.
Yeah, well, there's that. That's no political commentary, but it is the night of the national championship football game. So if anybody cares about that, Alabama won 52-24 tonight. But
did you just ruin it for all those people that were going to watch it tomorrow?
Who's going to watch it tomorrow? Their water cooler, conversation was ruined tomorrow.
There you go.
But we're cranking at the shop, just getting our last minute stuff together. I mean, we signed our last sponsor literally over the weekend. Michael Valiente and Ilto Kart, signed up as a class sponsor. It was the last class sponsor I needed. So all props to him for stepping up. I appreciate that. But, so now, it's got to build banners, build flags and, all the things that we do. And, we got T-shirts and, we want to make this an experience, right? I mean, the challenge has always been known as kind of an experience. Years ago, we started this program. I don't know if you remember, we started podium hats. Remember that? So, if you're on the podium, you get a hat embroidered with the date, the track, the class, and your position and the sponsor. Do you know that, right?
Yes.
So we started doing that, several years ago, and it's actually, it was on a whim from one of my sponsors, like I said, Mike Giles, M2 Brandwear, who is a customer of mine who's a racer, races Masters, racing GP Masters with us in Phoenix, but helps me with some product and whatnot. All of our T-shirts and all that. But he started embroidering these hats, and I didn't realize how cool of a thing it was until like the third year we did it, and I saw Fritz Seesemann wear it on the podium at the Winter Tour, and Fritz is holding his trophy and pointing at the hat he won at my race. And then the next day, Bill Wright called me to yell at me because he was wearing his hat and my hat at his race. And I'm like, oh man, this thing's got some play, right? So I've watched a few emotional handovers from that hat. So the hat, we make hats, but we make hats that are different colors. And people are like, oh, I want that hat. I'm like, well, no, that's the podium hat. We don't sell that hat in that color combination, whether it be, a blue top and a black bill or a gray top and a red bill, whatever. I'm just, making stuff up.
Yeah.
And people were like, no, I want that color combination. I'm like, well, you can only win that color combination. I'm like, well, they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you can't buy that. It can only be earned. And that's kind of become my mantra for the last several years. Like, no. That hat can only be earned. You can only earn that exact hat. So go out and earn it. And I've watched that hat be given to mechanics, and I've watched that hat be at the podium, and I've watched that hat be given to fathers or grandfathers or sponsors. And I've watched people tear up from the driver handing their podium hat to somebody special to them. And that means more to me than a lot of this does, because it shows how much it means to them, if you can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right? That kid busted his ass, that 16-year-old kid, whatever, busted his ass, won that hat. Yeah, you paid the X $1,000. Yeah, you raised him. Yeah, you taught him how to race. Yeah, you worked on his stuff. Yeah, you blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you made a macaroni and cheese. Whatever it is, mom, dad, grandpa, mechanic, sponsor, blah, blah. And that kid at the end of the podium took that hat off and handed it to that person. I'm a dork, Jason. I can't help getting choked up. I start crying when I watch that happen. And those are some of my favorite memories ever doing what I do.
Well, that's a great way to wrap up the podcast. So how about you recap your class, give a plug out to your class sponsors.
Oh boy, I'm going to remember. Now I'm going to remember this.
I'll give you a few moments.
Well, obviously, Royce and Baxter is our presenting sponsor. That's Mike Wash. He's helping us out with hand sanitizer, etc.
Yep.
Let's see if I can start. I'll try to start at the bottom. Empire Karts is Micro. GFC, Gary Carlton Racing, is Mini.
Okay.
Junior GP is Acceleration.
Okay.
Senior GP is Ruthless. Masters GP is Odenthal. Junior 100 is Italkart. Senior 100 is Forward Direction. Masters 100 is M2 Power Sportswear. Shifter is Sweet Tech, and Shifter Masters is Ron White Racing. And after that, we have ROV, which has helped us out with some product for some podium giveaways. And then our fuel and oil is Sunoco Supreme, combined with Motul Kart Pre, and both of them have helped us out a little bit. And I could never be where I am without the support and help from Rock Cup USA, Vortex, OTK USA. That's the prizes that gives us every year our world's prizes, our Rock the Rio prizes, etc. So we're blessed to have a lot of very, very, very generous sponsors that allow me to do what I do and hand a lot of it back to our customers and our racers. And with that, I bid you all a very good evening, and I hope to see you in just 2 short weeks.
You hope to see them on the podium with a hat?
Whatever. I mean, if they're good enough to earn it.
Perfect.
Can't win it. Can't buy it. Got to win it.
Can't buy it. Well, Andy, as always, thank you. This is our longest one ever.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right.
Oh, maybe not.
2 hours.
Close.
2 hours, 3 minutes.
Yeah, hour and 54. Recording.
Well, 2 hours and 3, but you started early.
Well, thank you again for coming on and carrying the show.
All right. Thanks, bud.
And I'll see you next week.
Yes, you will.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bring a bottle.
I'll bring a good bottle. Plastic cord.
All right, bye.
Bye.